Welcome back to the Goodback podcast, where we'll be healing the spine in real time. All right, now we are live. Happy New Year.
Hey.
Or Eve.
And Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
It's New Year's Eve for anybody watching now.
Yeah.
Well, 2023.
You must be pretty close, actually.
About 1.5 hours away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, so I don't know. We can just chat and then eventually we'll record that intro. I don't have a teleprompter. I wish I did. That would be way too savvy. We'll get there eventually, but I think I have a little trick here that I can do. Something like this. All right. So if I just do a run through here, we'll try it.
Yeah.
We can do it, whatever. We'll figure it out. That's what this is two guys just trying to figure out some stuff. And I'm trying to figure out how my back gets better. And Damien, I guess, I don't know. I think he's got a lot of stuff figured out. Okay. So this will be kind of the intro. Goodback podcast, episode 0 intro. So hello, everyone, and welcome. Damien, the guide of this podcast, and I, Henry, the patient, put this introduction video together to provide some context for the series to come. I was apprehensive at first about finding any resolve to my declining condition and increasing pain without surgery. Everybody in the Western world here says, you got to go for surgery. And every practitioner I'd been to, including the most world-renowned, more on this throughout the series. Just as I mentioned, I'd seen Stuart Mcgill, and at that point in my journey, I was under the impression that he was the number one guy. He was on a lot of podcasts. He was just renowned through and throughout. You maybe found him in your own journey. He's the guy. He is the back doctor in the world. You'll hear this a lot of times. And I was fortunate enough to make it into his door through his daughter in town here. And he also passed me along as a surgical recommendation. So at that point, I hit a very low, which, it was probably the rock bottom in my life, but being in back pain groups, I've seen worse. So moving on. So you will get the long stories throughout the series, but here we have an overview and a spoiler in a sense that Damien's methods do really work. That's how I'm sitting up right now, for example. We look forward to you following along the series and using it as a real-time training to the techniques that Damien has been gracious to provide me with in exchange for helping to produce this healing journey series that we see now. Let me tell you, I am forever grateful already. Looking back at the early episodes, I see how patient Damien has been, and you will see how far everything progresses from my own and Western trained practitioners' understanding to video quality, flow, and most importantly, my quality of life. So to get started, who is Henry? And how did he get to where he is today? Where was he before? And how does this relate to you, the viewer? At the beginning of this series, you will notice that I'm unable to lay flat on my stomach. I was unable to sit, stand up for any period of time, or even walk 10 feet. I could not sleep for any prolonged period. I could not sit on the toilet. I could not pass a bowel movement due to the pain reflex. I was getting stuck in the bathtub. I could not shower. The list goes on. To name a few more symptoms, I had throbbing pain every night. I could not stand on my right toes, which they refer to as foot drop. My heels would be driven into the mattress from the constant spasm that I was experiencing in my back. And if I wasn't on my hands and knees, I would have to keep my knees curled up towards my chest to pass the time as the moon dropped past my windowsill, signifying the endless rotation of passing weeks. I retained a waning positive outlook, but my knees and elbows were raw from constantly residing on them. I would fall asleep like this when exhaustion finally took over. I had complete numbness through the right side of my foot, all the way into my toes and to the corner of my big toe, which is the complete expression of the L5 nerve root. Now, I describe this time of my life to others in back pain groups and so forth as the period where I flopped around on the floor like a fish out of water. I reassure them that their feeling of defeat and in some cases suicidal outlook can be short-lived, and this too shall pass. So Damien, here's Damien. Who is Damien?
Right. So Damien used to be a computer programmer, and I started my journey off many years ago having scoliosis. And I also had chronic fatigue as well. And I also had lots of, I used to blink a lot, had lots of face pain, and I was in a bit of a mess. And I'd said no to the operation when as a teenager, they'd said, you need the operation or you'll be in a wheelchair by 30.
Mhm.
I'm a little north of 30, just in case you need to, you haven't quite spotted that yet. I'm not in a wheelchair or anything like this. They were slightly right, as much as I did have progressively worse problems as time went on. But I eventually came across this thing called the ASMI machine, the ASMI, the Advanced Spinal Mobilization Instrument. And what this does is it straightens scoliosis, fixes loads of back pain. And I had this treatment 8 sessions, and it got rid of the blinking, got rid of most of the scoliosis, got rid of the chronic fatigue. And I'm like, why does the world not know about this? Turns out the world does know about this. And the United States military, the VA hospitals, I think they're military hospitals, they use this ASMI machine. Outside of this, hardly anybody knows about it. And so I sort of said, well, it just felt that I had to do something about it to let the world know about it. So I set up some Facebook groups, Scoliosis Cures and Pain Relief being the main one, did YouTube videos, and to let the world know about it and to send the people who had this scoliosis problem or the back pain problems to the few handful of therapists around the planet. And there was only ever a handful using this machine. And that worked well for a while, although it didn't set the world on fire, which I was slightly disappointed about. I just thought I'd do some videos, show some before and after photographs, and of course everybody will pick up on it. And they didn't. In fact, they were quite dismissive of it and were very, you felt like a witch in the Salem witch trials. You were, like driven out and from places, told you should have. And the doctors had this phrase every time I spoke to them of, I've never heard of that. It's a key phrase and it means something. It doesn't just mean I haven't heard of it. It means complete blanco. And it's quite a universal phrase. And then what happened is that the practitioners I was sending people to were starting to talk about retiring. So I thought, well, I'd better learn how to use this machine myself. And so I could carry the flame and train the next set of therapists, the next generation. So that's what I did. And then I did that for many years part-time, working in the evenings and weekends as a therapist and a computer programmer in the daytime. And just recently, since about August, I've gone full-time as a back therapist and the computer programming. So that's my story in terms of, so I've done lots and lots of, the idea was I'd do less therapies and more videos and spend more time putting them together and letting everybody know about it. And from one of those blog posts in this particular case, Henry managed to find me at some wee small hours of the Canadian night while he couldn't sleep and came across one of the posts I'd done and sent me an email. Say, oi, can you fix my back?
Yes.
That's me.
Yes. And a couple other questions that I had here. What did you think when you first saw Henry's bad back?
The first look I had of it is because particularly when I do the scoliosis and the kyphosis, I'm forever getting curves that like this straightened up and the kyphosis curves flattened down. And I just thought, I know how to do that. That's just a couple of muscle spasms either side. And his back isn't, the language of these things is really important. His back isn't sticking up. His spine isn't sticking up. In my language, his spine is being pushed up by a muscle spasm. And I get rid of the muscle spasm and I go back down again. And so I looked at him. I said, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I think the quote I did in the return email was, that's not the worst back I've even fixed this week.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm very fully confident I can fix it.
Yeah. And just to elaborate on one of those points, I mentioned Stuart Mcgill earlier, and Damien had written an article called A Tale of Two Back Doctors. And one of them was Stuart Mcgill, and the other one was Paul Sherwood. And Paul Sherwood is, now I know a lot more than I did at the beginning. He did pass away at the age of 93 in the mid 2000s. But these two doctors are people that Damien holds very high reverence for and has read the books religiously through and through. So a lot of our training does come from there, and you will see as I learn all of this throughout. Each session is usually about an hour and a half, and we painstakingly go through every detail, where in me now editing these videos and looking back at the early ones, I'm astounded by Damien's patience, as I did mention. So now I'm a little bit more up to speed, but of course he is the expert and I am the healed, and I'm still in the woods. I'm not out of the woods yet, but it has been incredible where I've been able to get. And I just want to reiterate, the people who are in constant pain, they're rolling around on the floor like a fish out of water, and they think that this endless demise is coming to them. I can absolutely relate to that. I'm not there anymore. I walk around pain-free. I'm back to my normal activities. So
one of the point out in terms of how it's all pulling together here is we haven't actually used the ASMI machine on Henry yet.
Yeah.
We've used the 3 techniques I use. I tend to use Dr. Paul Sherwood's technique when somebody's a really, really bad back and it's really painful. When it's really painful like that, I don't use the ASMI till the pain's really come down. And I drive it, get to that stage by using Paul Sherwood's technique, which was that EMS machine, electromuscular stimulation, at certain settings, which we'll go through and do all the detail of videos. And the other one is ultrasound. Again, not general ultrasound, but ultrasound at specific settings. And we will be looking at, we'll be showing you that in the videos.
You will see a lot about this. Yeah.
Just those 2 techniques have got Henry out of, and we'll show you exactly how to use them. And with all the list down all the settings. That's got him from being crippled with pain to walking around, driving his car, putting up shelves and things. And the whole point about this is everybody can copy it. This is, free to the world.
Yeah. It's things that you can buy.
Videos about changing the way backs are treated around the world.
Fluid mobilization, my 2 new favorite words. Damien, initially in his Tale of 2 Back Doctors, words that stuck out to me were generally after 11 years, your injury, so you'll have an initial injury and then 11 years later, it is going to turn into a giant spasm through edemas and lack of fluid mobilization, right? So getting white blood cells to the healing site and so forth. And so when I read this, I was like, well, that timing is bizarrely accurate. And as I went through, again, you'll see all this, but that seems to be the case. Once you can get that fluid mobilized, once you can get the white blood cells in there and healing, my diet ramped up. I've started to gain weight back. I initially lost 15 pounds and now I just cannot eat enough food. And once I am fed, my body just wants to pass out and it feels like this beautiful healing sleep. So anything else you want to add before I carry on with this? And we'll
time to carry on.
Okay, so today marks 1 month since we first began the treatment, and I'm not out of the woods yet, but I have been driving again, walking thousands of steps most days. I can shower, I can go to the bathroom, the list goes on. A huge portion of my life is back, and you will see as this all happens. Anyways, you can see we're just 2 guys winging it. I've never done this before. Damien has some experience on producing some videos of healing people, and we're hoping to reach as many people as we can. So that's where I would say that we very much look forward to you learning along with us. Please click the bell, like, follow, and share to anyone you think this might help so that we can do that. We're still recording to this day as we advance our techniques and implement new machines. So Damien has just sent me another machine in the mail, and we're going to try and take this to the next level to get me back to my previous life, which you'll see pictures of rock climbing. I'm a sponsored jet ski rider. I know, crazy. Everything like that. I surf, I swim, I free dive, and it has been absolutely crazy to have my entire life ripped away from me. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. We will also be doing some live Q&A videos throughout the series that you can all be a part of. So we're talking about maybe every few episodes that we release, which we've already recorded a month's worth, and we're going to be recording more. We'll do a live Q&A session so that people can say, hey, this guy's a faker, or whatever you want to say. And we're going to be happy to answer your questions. I can show my MRIs. I can talk about the experiences I've had with the Western medical system, as I have throughout these 1.5 hour long videos. And this is to ensure complete transparency and to promote the importance of getting zero cost resources to those in need. I've got a lot of experience now with people that are, they're going to say, oh, you've got a bad back and you're really desperate. Well, come closer, come a little bit closer. And then all of a sudden pay me or else you can't have anything more. And I just hit that so many times. It frustrated the heck out of me. So I think Damien can relate to that. And anything else there?
Yeah. So basically, when this is done and it's all over, what you can do is you see this when a new fashion comes out or a new film star does something, and the kind of teenagers will go to the hairdressers or the barbers and say, see this magazine? See this picture of this person's, I don't know, Princess Leia or whatever that has to do that to me.
Yeah.
You do the same thing. You got a bad back. You go to your local therapist and you want to crack your back or you want to do your injection. You say, no. You see this video here? Do that to me.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to change.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do this and drive it. And, I've got my money. You got the equipment. Because a lot of the therapists will have this equipment in their offices anyway. It's just using this equipment in this technique and wash and repeat a few times. You can have your life back.
Yeah.
And it's repeatably reliable.
You'll see that Damien has this adapted nonchalance from Dr. Paul Sherwood, where I'm like, oh my God, Damien, you'll see all the videos. I just walked to the bathroom. I just went to the bathroom. I just didn't get stuck in the bathtub. I just had my first shower in months. I just drove my car. I just put new batteries in my truck, all of this stuff. And Damien's like, yeah, well, if you plug in a kettle, it will boil. Right? Like, you just got to plug it in. If it wasn't boiling, it's because it wasn't plugged in likely, right? So,
wow, if you're a caveman, you've never seen a kettle before. But in a civil life, if you're used to it, it's just perfectly logical, sensible, and so repeatable.
Yeah. And I do have some videos of Paul Sherwood. Actually, he didn't pass away until early 2000, so there is some videos of him, and we get to observe this nonchalance. And
we expect people to get better now. I wouldn't regard it as being an optimistic attitude. It's just a result of what I've seen over the years.
He's just like, well, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've easily seen 30,000 backs. And after a point, you just don't get excited by it anymore. You just know that this is the way that it is. So it's amazing. Everybody needs to know this. I'm just 1 month down the path, and 2 weeks in and I was already walking again. In 3 weeks, I went to the dentist. I hadn't been to the dentist in months because I couldn't leave my house. And so I just decided I'm going to walk home from the dentist one day, and I did. So all of these things are recorded. I've taken videos the whole time, and they will be interlaid throughout. And I think that anybody who is really struggling and really looking for any hope, I feel like you're going to be like me. I can't stop watching the videos, even though I was in the video. We did the video. I've edited it for countless hours now. I just can't stop watching right till the end, because there's just all these little things, and Damien is sure to constantly keep presenting information throughout. Yeah. Yeah.
This was Henry. It could be you.
Yeah. Perfect. And we can just ramble now because I can just edit it all together. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing in your question list you had is why am I doing this podcast? And the first time I saw that question, I thought, it's going to be dead. How am I going to answer that one? It's going to be an awkward one. I did actually thought about it later. I thought, well, a few years ago, I had this job where I had to drive a certain distance. And I'd run out. I was getting bored of the CDs in my car singing my songs.
Yeah.
And I kind of was ambling around and got into talking books. And you just stick these CDs in the thing, and talking book is.
Yeah.
And by the time you've got the office for 2 weeks, you've got through huge, great, big, thick books. Because I'm a computer bod, I'm a maths bod. I didn't do a lot of reading. And to have somebody tell the story to me and to the page, I've got through loads and loads of novels. One of the ones I got through was Ulysses and the Iliad and Ulysses by Homer.
An epic.
And one of the refrains in there, which they were saying was common across the sort of that area, the whole area, was of the sort of like great hospitality to strangers that they gave. And the reason they gave for that is that all strangers were sent by Zeus. And there's this person who's come into your place from nowhere, who's just knocking your door, traveling through, is a massive, is for you as much as for them. And so, Zeus has sent him, be nice to him, sort of stuff. So, so when your email came through, it sort of felt like, this email's come, it's been sent by Zeus, as it were. What we've done with this and what we can do with this is, this can change the world. This, sometimes you got to know when there's, it's somebody's come on their own, and it feels like, this is the right time to do this.
Right. Well, that's good. The timing, the synchronicity, all of it checked out amazingly. And, yeah, changing the world. I mean, that can look like a lot of things, but I can say that Damien's already changed my world. And I've seen a lot of people in back pain groups that they do talk about suicide, as I mentioned earlier. I never got to that point, but I can see exactly why people would say that, because it's this endless slope towards like, what's next? And there's no sleep. It's constant pain, constant throbbing. And you move a little bit and your entire body is just like, no, like it's just electric pain. I've had everything from feeling like lava is being poured through my veins. It's just, it feels not fair. You don't want to focus on it. You don't want to think about anyone else. Like, how is this, 80-year-old person walking past my house on the street right now? And here I am at the end of my life, essentially. So I totally get that. And there's a number of people now, I didn't really go into this, I was about to, but I see some people now in these back pain groups and posting on social media that they're ready to kill themselves. And if they don't go get a surgery in Germany to get an artificial disc, then they're going to kill themselves. And so they need all the GoFundMe that they can get to do this. And I respect that. And I think that the artificial disc clearly has worked for some people. You'll see throughout the series, we do talk to some other people as well. And so, 2 years in, people sound like, okay, I'm glad I got the artificial disc because now I don't have disc degeneration. But Paul Sherwood would say this is not the answer. And again, I'm not an expert here, but the discs are a result of your bad back. Your bad back is not a result of the discs. And so I feel that now. And yesterday I went shopping with my partner who you'll see in the videos, Christina, and we were at the store and I'm walking along shopping again, which is, the small gains are amazing. And I said, Chrissy, do I even have the biggest limp out of 5 people around us? And she's like, no, you don't. And a limp is one of my symptoms that I got in March. And I'm trying to get back to where I was before. And so I gauge it in like, oh, I'm as good as I was in January. Oh, I'm as good as I was in, basically March is what I'm trying to get to. So from now is going to be January 1st tomorrow. We started our treatments December 1st, and I was at my lowest low around then. And the months leading up to that, basically September was the first day I tried to go in my truck and go to a job, and I had to crawl back. And it took me, my truck is in my driveway, and it took me probably 15 or 20 minutes. It felt like 5 hours to get from my truck back to my house, barely able to make it, crawling. And you'll see all this, but I just could not walk 5 or 10 feet after that without my leg basically collapsing on me. And now I can dance around, I can jump, and I can do probably more than I should be doing. So here we go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it then.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, if I do edit this part in, it's a goal that Damien and I have had. I actually throughout this process I haven't had a drink in months, which isn't my norm, but I know that Damien's a good pub boy and he goes in there and talks to his mates and has a pint, and God forbid they talk about bad backs, which even if they don't, he's going to bring it up. That's an ongoing joke. And so we do have a goal. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna start phase 2 now, which will start in January. Phase 1 was December to now, and amazing already. I'm sold. So now the next section, we're gonna try some new machines, some new techniques, probably less frequency between sessions, stuff like that. We'll do some Q&As, and then a goal that I still hold is to maybe get to, whether I need it or not, we'll get to the UK. I'm here in Canada, and have that celebratory pint with Damien. And then also potentially if we need to try the ASMI machine, and that would be section 3 coming up.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
That sounds like a brilliant introduction. Yeah, I'm hooked.
Okay, good.
You're in my head watching this. I'm about 100% hooked on this.
Perfect. I'll add some sparkly stuff or something too. Yeah. Right on, Damien. As always, thank you. Yeah.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. I got my New Year shirt on. Normally I'm shirtless. If anyone's watching, be warned. I'm barely wearing any clothes throughout this series. And there is a couple of times where I've edited over like a happy face or something. But yes, it's not my, I had to just be okay with all that. So here we are.
Yeah. Happy New Year to Chrissy as well.
Thank you, Damien. And your wife as well. Yeah.
Right.
Likewise. Okay.
Bye-bye.
See ya.